I used to work in the afternoon, so I would stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning, just like making songs. That was the only peaceful time I had, and it was just when the world was quiet. Those were early musical memories, and those kind of proved to me and to myself that this is where I belong, because I look back to those memories and I'm just like, wow, it's always been there. I just never knew. When my love for music is in question, my fear of failure takes over.
At what age did you become passionate about music?
At 6 years old.
Tell me more about that.
6 years old, I got up on stage, and that was my first musical memory, just being in front of a crowd.
Tell me, like, who got you up on stage?
I just got up on stage willingly.
Tell me more about, like, the experience of it. Like, what did you hear? Who was the band? What were you doing?
The band was a genre in Dominican music, or in Spanish music in general, called Perico Ripiao. And
oh, so all the instruments were up there.
Yep, the whole band.
Getting you going.
Yep. And then once they're done taking a break and taking a water break, I just got up on stage.
No. And you did it.
And I did it.
You were that kid.
Yep, and I was dancing, took off my shirt. They called me the tank top boy.
So it all started from just that one moment.
Yeah.
And you went go, 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 go.
Yep.
Okay. You said you were going to bring up your mom.
Yes.
Your mom took you there.
Yeah, she used to take me there, I would say one Saturday a month. It's like a buffet, dancing floor.
Like a community gathering with a stage and music.
It's a cafe, but they also have a portion where people dance. So it's like a nightclub / cafe / buffet. It was called Carrie's Caf.
What has been the most significant influence that's had you inspired to pursue this path as a producer?
Okay, so the most significant influence was just listening to music and going through life. Those are the most significant influences. And
what type of music? Who were the guys?
St. John, Travis Scott, Drake.
Nice. Tell me more about them.
With Drake, I just loved his vulnerability and his way of staying consistent, but putting out quality music, and just his overall complexity when it comes to relationships. And it kind of like reminded me of myself at the time, where I was learning how to, have a relationship, knowing what a relationship is all about, and just like the vulnerability it takes to build it from scratch and lay the foundation. He just helped me get my emotions, being more in tune with my emotions, especially when it comes to music.
Wow. And this was all Drake?
Yeah, definitely Drake. He's the biggest influence.
He's the biggest influence in terms of the emotional side of the production part of what
The production and the words.
And the words. And that motivated you to continue.
He was actually the first rapper I listened to ever in hip hop.
Drake?
Drake. At the age of probably 8 years old, 4th grade, when he dropped Take Care.
Yeah.
He was the first rapper I listened to.
Wow. What were you able to visualize once you heard it? What drew you into the this is what I want to do also? Or was it more of an admiration, not knowing that fast forward, you were going to be a producer?
It was more of an admiration.
More of an admiration. So that kept you going
Yes.
going up until you made the decision of this is where I'm.
Yeah. And also with the help of St. John.
With the help of St. John.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Did you ever play an instrument, or were you playing with sounds around that time, that 7 year?
I say a little bit earlier than 6 years old, at the age of probably 4, when I was going to church very frequently. I used to go over to the piano, and the player, when the songs were playing, he would have me play one key on cue, even though I knew nothing about the instrument.
And you fell in love with the piano.
I fell in love with the music. The piano, yes. I fell in love with what it can do, what you can hear out of a piano, what type of sounds it produces, basically.
So, did you stay within the church community to play your instruments, and like how was that for you? Was it every Sunday? Did you?
I used to go every Sunday when I lived closer to Crown Heights. Mm-hmm. But once I moved, I had transitioned to a different church where the people who were playing the instruments were actually on like a balcony in the church. So I wasn't able to, head to the instruments, and I was a bit older, and I was more into other things like baseball and just like sports. Yeah.
Kid stuff.
Yes.
But you would say that just that one moment when you were 4, walking up to the piano, was pretty significant.
Those were early musical memories, and those kind of proved to me and to myself that this is where I belong, because I look back to those memories and I'm just like, wow, it's always been there. I just never knew. It was a blessing in disguise.
Wow. And the church provided that for you. I think that's incredible.
Yes. They never said anything to me about, don't go over there. I just went over there willingly.
With your heart.
Yeah.
All heart.
Yep.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So you did that, and you also have an older brother that used to be in the industry.
Yes. He had aspirations of being a rapper. He was really good at rapping, just like battle rapping on the streets. So he actually got a job at a record label near where I live at now. And he wanted to get into management at one point. So he had read a book called Everything to Know About the Music Industry. It's like the Music Industry Bible. That's what the book is referred as.
What's the name of the book?
It's All to Know About the Music Industry.
All to Know About the Music Industry.
And then it also says the Industry Bible.
The Industry Bible.
Yes.
Amazing. How long ago did your brother do this? Like around what? Like 90s, 80s, to early 2000s?
Definitely early 2000s.
So in the early 2000s, your brother...
Yes, when he was around my age. He was around 17 when I was born. So by the age of I'll say, around that age. But he just didn't have the right mentorship. He didn't have a him growing up, basically.
The guidance.
The guidance he's given me. He didn't have an older brother give him that guidance, basically. And he made some unfortunate decisions, and he was kind of misguided. So he kind of, withdrew from all those positive things that could have impacted his life.
Sure, absolutely.
So he kind of lives his mistakes. He kind of learned from them, and he's living his dream of being more disciplined and having the right guidance at that age through me. So he wants to see what he could have been through me, and I love taking on that role and that responsibility of, fulfilling his vision of what he could have been if he had a him growing up.
Right. That's great. So you're listening, you're taking the advice.
Yes. What applies to me. Sometimes, all of the advice might not apply to me.
Yeah.
Because we had two separate lives with two separate people.
Different era.
Yes.
Different
definitely.
era. I know the era that he grew up in.
Yeah.
It was, it was a startup era for the rap and hip hop
Yes.
community. So yeah, things weren't really organized. So the fact that he went through it, now sees his baby brother in today's world going through it, I'm glad that he's generous enough to guide you and be the person that he needs to be, to making sure that you have the proper mentorship. That's another thing. Like, I find that there's so many misinformation out there that sometimes when I go through things, I think about the younger generation behind me or the people that want to get started within the industry. And I'm just like, wait a minute, we got to do something here to inform how to take the proper steps to X move forward. So you're very lucky with that.
Yes.
You're very lucky with that.
And I don't take it for granted.
You're just one phone call away to checking in. Some people have to do so much just to get that one answer. So yeah, don't take that for granted. That's for sure.
Never.
No, that's for sure. So growing up as a teenager in the city, a kid from Brooklyn, right, with cultural influences.
Yep.
You said then it's the other side. Dominican, Haitian.
Yeah.
Hearing the sounds, like you mentioned Perico Ripiao, which is, like...
Faster merengue.
I mean,
tempo.
whomever doesn't know what we're talking about, I'm sure they've heard it if they've gone to Dominican parties or any Hispanic parties.
Yes.
Because I feel like they'll plug in like one major Perico Ripiao song just to get the crowd
And that was my
pumping.
mom's favorite genre too.
It was?
Yeah, my mom and dad's favorite genre. That was the way they bonded through dancing, through that genre. I think that's how they met too as well.
Look what they created, a music producer! You see, it all starts in the dance floor. It all starts in the dance floor. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's the first time I'm ever going to say this. I'm a product of that too. That's how my parents met. They met on the dance floor. My parents met on the dance floor, but different story. That is great. That is great. So growing up in New York City as a New York City kid, maneuvering yourself through the system, what were the opportunities that were given to you in the job force?
Definitely retail.
Retail.
I started off there.
How old were you?
I was 18 when I started in retail, right before the pandemic or during the pandemic.
Okay.
And after the pandemic, I had gone up to college. And when I came back down from the city and transferred, I got my second retail job at Banana Republic.
Okay.
Where I actually had my first encounter with the career path that I was going to take, because I already had inspired to do something with music, but I haven't figured out what was my groove.
So how did that happen? In Banana Republic, so where were you?
I was part of the stock team.
Okay.
So I was in the stock room all day in the morning. So I would occasionally bring my Beats pill because I was allowed to, and I would just play my playlist, and it has so many diverse songs from all the people that I have met and all the songs that they listen to, and I kind of created my own playlist and took bits and pieces from everybody's uplifting songs.
Yeah.
And he saw something and heard something in my playlist. He's just like, you have a really good ear.
Who is this person?
His name was Anthony.
So Anthony just said, you have a great ear.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should think about you ever thought about producing? And I was like, no.
Did you know anything about that?
No, I definitely didn't know anything about that.
Huh. And what did he say?
He said, you have a really good ear. I have a friend that, he makes beats in his room and he sells them. Like, you could do that too. You have the ear for it. And that same day I went home and I went to YouTube and I looked up how to get started being a producer.
Wow. And just like that.
Yeah. I purchased my first DAW Soundtrap that same day, and I started making beats with my Beats Pill and just a laptop.
And you created all these sounds that you're...
Yeah, I was putting sounds together, and I was showing my friends. We had gone to the park that same week. I was showing my friends. I brought my laptop, and they was just like, "Oh, that sounds good.
Right?
You could definitely do this." They believed in me.
Wow. So you were able to even influence your immediate friends at that age.
Yeah.
Wow, with your music.
Yes.
So you're at the park with your laptop showing your friends. They believe in you. Okay? Talk to me how you're diving into what you're doing. Go into the plugins, go into everything.
So when I was at the park, I was just going based off my ear.
What you were showing your friends,
They were listening.
they were listening.
They were listening while they were playing basketball, but I was sitting on the bench on my computer.
Pause. You took your computer and you were producing at the park in front of your friends?
Yes.
That's determination. I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Is normally the person going into their room or in a studio and just doing it there, but you actually took your laptop to
Yeah.
produce music for your friends in the park.
Yeah. We were originally supposed to go to someone's house, and I was just gonna bring my computer because I was just like, I wanna learn this stuff. Like I'm eager to learn. It was just super cool at the time, and we didn't end up going, so we ended up going to the park, and I didn't bring basketball attire.
Yeah.
So I was just on my computer, just
open it up and you were
putting sounds together, and just using my ear, knowing no terminology, no effects. I didn't know what EQ was. So as time went on, I just kept learning and learning. I had a bunch of I used to work in the afternoon, so I would stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning, just like making songs, because that was the only peaceful time I had, and it was just when the world was quiet. So
when the world is quiet. So when you're working, what were you working on?
So I was working on just getting better and making everything sound the way I wanted to sound in my head, and mimicking certain effects that I love when I listen to music.
Are you learning plugins or how to EQ? Like, how are you doing with the mastering of the sounds?
So with Soundtrap, there's not a lot of videos on YouTube to really help you with it. So it's kind of like trial and error, because it's not a popular DAW, it's not a known DAW, it's not a recommended DAW. But at the time, I didn't know about any other DAWs. The first video that I happened to watch was about a person saying you could just search up a DAW, and the first DAW that came up was Soundtrap. So I thought that was the only DAW there was. I thought they were all the same, but in some ways they're different. So I stuck with Soundtrap for about 2 years, and I just learned off trial and error, and just discovering things on my own and kind of building off what I discover.
Do you use a lot of plugins?
I don't use a lot of plugins.
Why is that?
Soundtrap doesn't have plugins that are popular in the industry. So I would just use what I got and just make it into, find the diamonds in it, the gold in it, what I like. There was MIDI files. I would take out certain chords I didn't like and make it into my own style. And yeah, just it was rough, but I always found a way.
Rough in what way?
It was rough because it weren't particular sounds that are popular in the industry. It's sounds that people really haven't heard before. Neither have I, but I found love for those sounds, and I still go back and use some loops, and I put them into my new DAW now, FL Studio, that I'm learning.
How's that going? How's FL Studio going?
I'm definitely starting from all over again, and that's completely okay with me. You know, I was running away from it a lot, but
Why?
because starting all over again, it's not that I didn't want to, it's just that I'm so eager to create music that is when I can't create music, it puts me in this state of like almost like sadness, like when I can't create and finish music to the length that I wanted to,
Yeah.
or to the effects that I want, like whatever I envision in my head, when I can't put it on to the tech, it kind of, you know, it frustrates me, and it's all part of the process, and
It does something to you.
it does something to me. It encourages me to keep trying. You know, it might take 3 days for me to try again, you know, but I'm still trying, and that's all that matters.
How are you with the plugins? Are you mastering the plugins? Like, do you use a lot of plugins? Do you use a lot of plugins in your sounds now?
I definitely started using plugins for the synths and creating chords myself and flipping them through octaves, flipping them through notes on the minor scale, or mix a little bit of the minor scale and the major scale together, and just finding what's good to the ear. And I'm not really, you know, too focused on just like buying a whole bunch of plugins, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The ear always wins.
How often do you want to create? Like, let's talk about discipline here, because I feel like when you hit these moments of, I call them empty patches, and where you just go down a path of depression. I'm going to say it is a path of depression. I feel like you quickly have to snap out of it and just get into it. What type of discipline do you have in place in order for you to maintain that flow?
So the discipline I put in place on myself is determination. You know, my fear of failure, but also my love for music. They work hand in hand. So when my love for music is in question, my fear of failure takes over, and it forces me to kind of work on my music.
Yeah.
And then once I'm working on my music, my love for music gets rediscovered, and it reassures my soul every time that although I might not have felt like making music that day or listening to music that day, when I engage in it, it always hits the same. It always touches my soul, and I end up finding a gem, or I end up finding something that sparks my engine almost. It's almost like an empty gas tank, and you find like cheap prices at a gas station, and you fill up your tank, and you feel good because you save money and your tank is full.
It is not unusual for people to run on empty when they're not conscious of, I need to fuel up and hear. So, you know, that is relevant to your experience and to your journey. Learning how to fuel up when you find that energy to regenerate yourself, reinvent yourself. I get what you're saying, and people will get that too.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring up another one, go ahead, because another question that I have for you is the gems that you've created through your discipline.
Yeah, definitely. And I never regret it.
You've never regretted?
Yeah, there's times where, I go into that deep sadness or depression, and I go straight to my bed. My room's all messy, and there's my laptop, and the speaker light just on. It's always on. And
Calling you.
Calling me.
Calling you.
Lighting that fire inside of me. Because it's like, I'm scrolling on my phone. I'm just looking over there, and it's just like, what am I doing?
Right.
Like, I got to get up and create something. And the discipline definitely came with a lot of sacrifices. So I mentioned earlier my job at Banana. It started affecting my work life because I was going to sleep 4, 5, 6 a.m. Sending beats to my group chat, and to my girlfriend, and I would end up going late to work and oversleeping, falling asleep on the bus, train, missing my stop, and it kind of really affected those aspects of my life. So that's when I needed to realize that my discipline can be reinvented, and I can reinvent how I work on my music. So there was a time where I was just dropping every week, and those were the times where I was staying up till 5 or 4 in the morning just trying to learn the DAW. Because I was learning through trial and error. I didn't have somebody teaching me certain mixing tips. I didn't have YouTube videos helping me because Soundtrap wasn't popular.
Right, so you were just go every week, one new creation after the other.
Yes.
What changed?
What changed was how long I was working on music. So I realized that I can break up my workflow throughout the day. So when I get home from school, I could work on it for about an hour, right? If nothing's sparking, just go into other things or other priorities that I have and come back to it later and work on it again. And I end up adding something that I didn't add in that last hour I worked on it. So when I broke it up like that, I'm just like, okay, I feel like I'm gaining the same amount of progress, but I don't have to put all these long hours in, which also benefit me. But then, life is always there. You can never, run away from it. And, I kind of felt like I was putting my eggs in one basket. So I'm just like, whoa, I'm moving too fast. Let me take a step back and actually embrace the journey rather than trying to rush to it and making mistakes, which is nothing wrong about making mistakes, but I had to take a step back and come to the realization like, hey, I have other priorities too that I can't just abandon because I'm so disciplined to this.
Right.
So let me be disciplined on all my priorities for the most part. So the difference between Soundtrap and FL is that Soundtrap is more of like a kindergarten DAW.
So you're using FL now?
Yeah, I'm using FL now, but with Soundtrap, it was more of like, a more simpler DAW. Like everything had a name to it. Like for instance, reverb, when I started playing around with that, it was more of like, okay, that's like in the background, like it's kind of like atmospheric. So then with FL, there's also something called reverb. So a lot of the terminology there is a lot of terminology that's on FL. Like the main terminologies for mixing are on Soundtrap. So with Soundtrap, they didn't really add like they had an EQ, but it was more of knobs. It wasn't the ones where you could manipulate and move around with your mouse. So eventually Soundtrap added that later, and I started playing around with EQ, and it kind of transferred well to FL, but there are certain things that took me long to learn, like high end and low end, and I actually learned that recently.
Isn't that awesome? I mean, it really does change a lot.
And it's like, it unlocks a new level.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're able to even create even more past what you thought you would.
Yeah.
So it just takes over.
Yep.
It just takes over. I want to know more about my favorite track that you have out.
Yes, definitely.
What is the name of it?
It's called Hip to the Hop. So let me go on YouTube.
That is so beautiful.
And that's the tag. That's my nephew.
Bringing in the family.
And here comes the melody.
Yeah.
And this was at a time where, like I said, I didn't know any mixing tricks. They could have been mixed better, but it still sounds good.
That goes to show you.
Ears always winning.
Ears always winning. The ears always winning. Hip to the hop. That's beautiful. That's one of my favorites amongst others that you've created. But I remember just scrolling through your page and knowing you better, understanding your journey, hearing your sounds. I personally think you're ahead of the game. And have you thought about collaborating with others?
In fact, I have, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with others.
Okay.
And I'm currently collaborating with a producer named Sunset. And
Okay.
he has definitely helped me structure the way I make music in a more professional way. And it's definitely taken my journey to the next level.
That's great.
And I'm excited for, collaborating with him more. And
What are you learning mostly with him?
I'm learning about just shortcuts and color coding everything and having a template, because when you get in the studio with an artist, time is everything.
Yeah.
So the label's paying for that time for the artist, so you got to make sure you're not wasting time, organizing everything and have a template ready, being prepared, and just definitely how much you have to consistently work on the skills that he's teaching me so that I don't get rusty at them or I don't forget about them, or I won't get used to the shortcuts. So he wants me to get used to the shortcuts and muscle memory with the EQ, low and high end, and the notes, and definitely the structure of a song, how long the hook should be, and the verse, then the hook again, and then the ending.
That's great. Yeah, no, I think that's really valuable.
Yeah.
Organization is key.
Yes.
Because time is money. Organization is key and time is money. And I'm really grateful that you've met someone like Sunset. So grateful that on behalf of our production, we would like to sponsor 4 lessons with Sunset and you and him. How does that sound?
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so that is a surprise that we have for you. That's why I wanted to get to know him a little bit better and see what he has. So you do feel comfortable with this guy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I know you said that you want to do this once a month with him, getting the mentorship and, is that something that you would still do? Or would you do it every week? Because I was trying to get you to tell me, like, how often do you need to be with him?
So, I am a part-time worker.
Yeah.
And I also have a lot of responsibilities, especially having just a single parent at home.
Yeah.
So, I'm in a relationship as well. That requires time as well. But I think once or twice a month is really good because during that time where I'm not getting the lessons, that's the time where I challenge myself. And then once I challenge myself and start learning more, I come to the lessons very prepared, and it's more of just like it's like in terms of like learning, it's kind of like when I get to the lessons, it's like mixing my learning, and then after I mix my learning, I put the product out when I work on it. So it's just fixing it up. It's like, getting an engineer to polish up your creation.
Mastering.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, no, that's what we want for you. And, I asked you if you had anything in production now. Do you?
Do I have anything in production?
And, like, what are you producing something now to?
Right now, I'm just focused on getting better.
Okay.
There's no rush.
Right.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
I want this for myself. I definitely know where I'm heading. I know what I want. But just because I know what I want, it doesn't have to happen now.
Right.
Time is the greatest asset. And, taking my time is better because if I take my time, I master my craft and I become great. But I don't want to rush and put everything out. Right now in production, I definitely have more in store for my fans. But I'd rather just hold off on it because I feel like I've put enough out there that I can, go on a hiatus for a bit and come back even stronger than I did before. And I'm thinking about a different way of promoting my music and releasing it and to have people engage more. And I'm just looking to come back stronger and uplift people's souls and make my mark on the world. And my influence, I want it to be positive on people's lives, just like music is positive on my life.
Who are the artists? What are the artists and their inspirations and your shout outs? Go.
So many artists that have inspired me throughout these years.
Who are they?
Drake, Gunna, Travis, Kanye, and an honorable mention, Metro Boomin.
Oh.
Yeah, he is my favorite trap producer of all time. He's generational.
He's generational.
One thing I love about him is that he's always gonna have you grooving, your head bumping. It's just amazing. And he's collaborated with Drake, and they mesh really well together. And with Drake, it's like his vulnerability and his focus.
He's sensitive. He's a sensitive guy.
His discipline to music. He sets the example of what a music career should be.
Wow.
And how serious you need to take it.
Wow.
Especially in that 100 gigs that he dropped. This month after the rap beef.
Yeah.
It definitely showed a different side of who he is and how focused he is in the studio and just, man,
despite everything that's happening,
once in a generation.
Wow.
Despite all the noise, all the hate, he blocks it out and he still works.
I know.
He works and works and works. With Gunna, I love, like I said, with Drake, his focus, but he makes it smooth. Everything just flows smooth with him. Like, it's so smooth and relaxing, just a vibe, chill vibe. And he's definitely one of my favorite trap artists, for sure. One of my favorite hip hop artists as well. And his ability to switch to the melodic side, just like Drake. He's very similar to Drake, but with like an accent.
Wow.
Like a heavy Southern accent. So he's definitely my favorite Southern artist, for sure. With Travis Scott, he takes his production so serious, and I love his ad-libs. I I love the different eras of trap he's gone into, especially Astro World. Mm-hmm. I love that album. Like that's definitely one of the best albums in hip hop history, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy. It came out in 2018, but I discovered it last year.
So it's timeless.
It's timeless, and I'm constantly always exposing my ears to new artists, and I'm willing to listen to albums. I'm just an album listener. And going on to the next artist, Kanye West. I mean, definitely Travis is. I think he's picked up the torch when it comes to production, and he's definitely picked up that torch from Kanye West. That was like his mentor coming up, because you see him on tour always. He's always invited him on tour. He always talks about how without Kanye there wouldn't be a Travis. So you know, I have to shout out the one before him. So
Hey.
Kanye's he's just Kanye.
Hey.
It's self-explanatory.
I mean.
Yeah, and St. John, he's a Guyanese artist.
Yeah.
He's Caribbean,
Yeah.
and he's from Brooklyn.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he kind of shares a similar background like mine. You know, he talks about his mom struggling with money.
Yeah.
And going with his mom to his Caribbean country, and his song "Humble" that he dropped recently. And
That's beautiful.
His words have just it almost sounds like he's crying when he makes his songs, but it's just the way he sings, his melodic sound. He's just different. He's in his own lane in terms of music, like and he definitely helped me through I'll say like a hard time in my life. I was dealing with like a breakup in college, so he definitely his Collection 1 album definitely got me through a lot, and I still bump it to this day. And I have a poster in my room.
No.
Yeah, I have a Gunna poster in my room, the One album, and I'm looking to get Astro World album cover as well, and maybe a Drake poster as well in my room.
Okay.
For my home studio, yeah.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
And I do see that I can see somebody else, a younger generation, let's say in 10 years, sitting across from me, talking about you the same way.
Yeah, that's the type of influence.
Is that a promise?
Yeah.
That's a
That's
promise.
a promise to myself.
So I am looking forward into you uplifting humanity's soul through your music. And with that is a wrap. Vladimir Reyes, my Dominican Haitian brother.
Yes.
Cheers.